Before the Gregorian calendar went into effect in 1582, the New Year was celebrated on April 1st. That's not so bad. I mean, call me old-fashioned, but I think I prefer starting the New Year in springtime than in the icy cold winter. Just the April, like a new calendar year suggests a fresh start, a new beginning. I'd rather plant seeds at the beginning of a new year than shovel snow. But as today's conservatives would probably phrase it, it was a prime example of government overreach back in 1582, when a new calendar was mandated whether you liked it or not. Now, those who were a little slow in catching on that the new year was changed to January 1st, or those diehards who would continue their New Year reveries on April 1st regardless, were referred to as fools by the greater population. It then became increasingly fashionable to play tricks on these fools, like sending them invitations to New Year's parties that never really existed. And the pranks escalated from there through the centuries. I want to examine the fool this morning, not meaning the people who were sluggish and moving their New Year's celebration away from April 1st. I'm talking about fools. Fools in general. Who are these fools? Have fools inherited an unfair reputation? What role do they play in society? In 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 19, Paul says, "Ye suffer fools gladly, seeing yourselves as wise." This was really meant as a satiric barb against the new Christian community in Corinth, but the phrase "to suffer fools gladly" has become idiomatic in our daily conversations. Someone who is short-tempered obviously does not suffer fools gladly, while those who are more tolerant are able to suffer fools gladly, which means essentially to have the ability to put up with these people, their nonsense, their stupidity. Yeah, they can go ahead and do that. It's kind of a nice thing for them to do. G.K. Chesterton, in recalling the phrase, claims that Paul's line in Corinthians has become a divine injunction to suffer fools gladly as though it were a decent Christian thing to do. It is as though God wants us to resign ourselves to the virtues of patience when dealing with fools. We need to reveal the better part of our nature that enables us to somehow endure these fools. But Chesterton suggests we have it all wrong. We lay stress on the concept of suffering, a painful ordeal, and so we must suffer fools gladly. But if we turn it around and emphasize gladly, it would sound like this: suffer fools gladly. That change in emphasis would make our relationship with fools purely delightful because we suffer them gladly. Fools are great fun and exceedingly clever because, as Chesterton notes, the great fool is he in whom we cannot tell which is the conscious and which the unconscious humor. We laugh with him, we laugh at him at the same time. So let us not look down upon fools too quickly. Harvey Cox, who just retired recently from the faculty of Harvard Divinity School, recalls a holiday that flourished throughout most of Europe during medieval times called the Feast of Fools. It constituted a time when royalty and religious practices were mocked, just for a day, when ordinary people and townfolk would don masks and sing outrageous songs, where satire was standard fare, and a lord of misrule or a boy bishop was elected to preside over the event which mocked the stately rituals of the church and court. It reminds me a little bit of our gay pride parade. Custom and conventions are turned upside down. Nobody is immune to ridicule, and those traditional gatekeepers of society are made to feel deliciously uncomfortable. It's all bawdy buffoonery at its best. It provides a kind of catharsis that allows us to breathe for the rest of the stifling year. It should come as no surprise that the Feast of Fools was never popular with the higher-ups. For a day, fools became kings, and rank and file became clerics, and everyone of lower classes, the 99%, made sport of anything royal or sacred or powerful. This holiday ran every year and lasted until about the Protestant Reformation. Then that strident satire and social parody and whimsical nature of the festivity began to peter out, which did not exactly dismay the nobility of that time. Obviously, the people of rank and privilege were incapable of suffering fools gladly. For Harvey Cox, the genius of this holiday was not only the mockery of social convention, but the ability to imagine a different kind of world. Isn't that an important feature? The ability to imagine a different kind of world. This very simple objective, imagining a different world, frankly, kind of pulls me up short as I kind of groan and complain and agonize over the world as I see it and live it and experience it. I am somehow limited in imagining a world beyond the greed that dominates our society with this self-serving temperament that just totally disregards the welfare of others and even disregards the health of the earth itself. I am stuck in the news of the day, which really offers no view of how to conceive conducting business differently. We muddle through the conventions of our day, but the fool takes us to a new creative level through festivity and fantasy, where even just for a day, we try on a wholly new way of operating in this world. And it even smacks of a biblical theme somehow, the one that goes, the first shall become last, and the last shall become first, because after all, this is when the fools become kings, the last become first. Try that on for size for a day and see how that doesn't change your perspective. Now, fools in those days had a knack for social parody. And I don't know, today's equivalents may be the few stand-up comedians who try to sneak in a smattering of social criticism, but they're not quite the same as those performers who in the Feast of Fools would aim to just unmask the pretentiousness of those in power, those who took themselves too seriously, those who actually benefited by keeping convention, keeping the status quo as it was. What the fools were saying in their day, back in those days when they paraded with face paint and makeup and masks and revelry. What they were saying was that things need not always be as they are. What a message. Things need not always be as they are. Is not the ability to imagine, isn't that precisely what makes us human? Now, I'm sure my dog can imagine sinking his teeth into a T-bone steak right off the grill. But imagining a new way of being, a new way of living, a new way of relating, I think that is uniquely tied to the realm of human beings. They have that kind of capacity to imagine.